What's up, guys? Noob Nugs here, coming at you with a little bit of a different video today. I know I had posted in one of my previous videos some of the other side projects I do, one of which was brewing kombucha. So this is a SCOBY. I'll get into that a little more later, but this video today is going to be about brewing kombucha, so if it's not your style, you can leave now. This isn't going to be cannabis related, but if it's something you're interested in, hopefully I can teach you something, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're back. So this is the front of that container that I was just showing you, that had that giant floating booger in it. So what that giant floating booger is actually what turns our tea into kombucha. It's called a SCOBY, and it's actually an acronym for a symbiotic culture of bacterial yeast. So basically it is just like a floating hotel for your yeast and bacteria. And what they're going to do is anaerobically ferment your tea. So it takes like a sweet tea, it can be green or black or anything in between, and it will ferment it into that like tangy, bubbly drink that we enjoy, known as kombucha. So right here we have about a gallon of tea that was boiled with sugar and put into the container with a SCOBY. And this, since it was this first round with the scope, we did the small 1 gallon batch. And your SCOBY is going to grow, so when we put the SCOBY in there, it was about the size of the dial on this timer. So just like that. And it is going to grow to be the size of whatever your container is. And once it fills your container, it's going to start growing in layers. And the cool thing about that is you can grow your SCOBY, which you'll hear referred to as like the mother oftentimes, and you can peel those layers and give it to friends and stuff like that, and then they can use that SCOBY to start brewing their own kombucha. So once you have one SCOBY, you never need another one unless it gets corrupted. So even though it looks nasty and stuff like this, that's perfectly good to go. It's when you get like the green or the black mold or something like that that's corrupted. And then also if bugs get in. So that was a lesson learned for me. I've taken some time off, but I use just a dishcloth with an elastic band around the top during ferment. But I used cheesecloth once, and cheesecloth does not stop bugs. So so that lesson was learned because I started brewing in the winter with cheesecloth and we didn't have fruit flies or anything, and then the summer hit and it was like fruit fly central. So I got another SCOBY. It's in. This is it, and it's going great right now. But I'm going to show you what to do. So there's a two-part ferment. The part that you're seeing here now, and then the second ferment, which is how you actually like flavor and everything. I'm going to show you a little bit of both. I'm going to go over what you need and show you everything you need to get started brewing your own kombucha, because kombucha is about like $3 to $4 for a tiny little bottle, but you can brew gallons. So start off with a gallon. I'm going to do a gallon again today, but then next week the SCOBY will be big enough and strong enough that I can start brewing 2-3 gallons at a time. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So first thing you're going to need is a big container, similar to this. Glass preferably. You can use stainless steel, things like that. You can use plastic, but it might make your booch taste kind of nasty. I like the one with a spout, because then you don't actually have to go in and like remove your SCOBY or anything. You can just pour it into whatever container you're going to do your second fermentation in. But you're going to need a container like this. You're going to need a SCOBY. You'll need some kind of container for your second fermentation, something that is able to take pressure. So anything from like your brewing stores will work. This is from a ginger brew from Trader Joe's, just reusing the bottle. You can reuse some of your store-bought kombucha bottles. Anything that can take pressure. Again, you could use like a plastic soda bottle, but it might make your kombucha taste nasty. I'm just going to be using these half-gallon refillable kombucha bottles. So I got this at like Whole Foods. They have like kombucha on tap, and you can buy one of these. So I'm just going to use these just because it's the most bang for the buck. As far as the quantity, I don't want to be filling a bunch of tiny little bottles for this film. So those are the containers you're going to need. You're also going to need your tea. Per gallon, it takes about 10 tea bags. I would suggest when you first start using black tea, because you have to really boil it like crazy. So you take the tea bags and you're gonna boil them for 10 minutes. So black tea is better. If you're gonna use a green tea, I would suggest bringing it up to a boil, adding your tea bags, taking it off the heat, and then letting it soak overnight. But then you have to do a whole night. I'm too lazy for that, so I use the black tea, which most kombuchas are, but you can get some cool flavors. I get like kind of a ginger ale type kombucha that I make with green tea, but we'll go over that recipe a different day if you guys are interested. You'll need some kind of sweetener. I get the biggest, cheapest sugar I can find. You can use sugar, you can use maple syrup. You just can't use honey because, again, this is a colony of bacteria yeast. So bacteria and yeast and honey is not friendly to bacteria. So you can't use honey as your sweetener. And then the last thing you're going to need is really up to you. So however you want to flavor your kombucha. I love a raspberry, so I take like some organic frozen raspberries, lemon, lime, and some ginger root, and that is like my favorite kombucha. I'm also gonna use some organic diced mangoes in one of my brews today, just to test out a new flavor. And then I didn't like the ginger root that was at the store today. I just shot over to Stop and Shop because it was closest, and a couple of them had like visible green mold on them, so I'm not going to mess with that. So I'm actually just going to use some crystallized ginger, which is basically just candied ginger. So I'm going to use that for my second ferment. So I'm going to set up for the second ferment, and then I'll be right back with you guys. Alright guys, so I just cleaned this container out. So even though it's clean before I put it away, you just want to make sure that all your containers are clean. It's not like brewing beer or like growing mushrooms or anything. It doesn't have to be like crazy sanitary, but it needs to be clean. Hot soap and water, clean it out good. So in here I have half of that organic lemon, half of that organic lime, small handful of those raspberries, and 2 or 3 pieces of that candied ginger. So, and it's like basically as simple as that. You're gonna take that and try to get the camera and do all this one-handed. And this is why I like that spout. You can bring it right over to the edge of your table. Put your container under it and open it up. Let the booch start flowing out. This is going to take a while unless I tilt it, which I can't do one-handed. So I'm just going to come back to you guys when it is full. Alright guys, so here's it filled. You don't want to fill it all the way. You want to, like, I could have filled it more than this, but you don't want to fill it all the way up. It needs a little bit of headroom, but not too much. Because you are going to get kind of like a thin layer of like SCOBY that is made on the top, and again, it's going to be as big as the container. So this is going to be a pretty big SCOBY, and I mean, personally, I don't like drinking the booger. I know it has some good health benefits, but I don't like drinking it. So what's going to happen right now is the sugar from the fruit, the ginger, the lemon lime juice, that is going to further break down from the yeast. So you don't need to worry about how much sugar is actually going, well, there are ratios, but don't be like, oh, this is so sugary, because most of that sugar is feeding the yeast. If I could talk, this would be a lot better video. But so that sugar is feeding the yeast, so really just a little bit of sweetness from this second ferment, so just from those fruits is what's going into it. All that actual sugar that we put in during the first ferment is not going it's not going to be around. It's all going to be eaten up. And then you just put this in a dark spot with a nice tight seal. Again, something that can take carbonation, because this is gonna get carbonated in anywhere from like 3 to 7 days, maybe even 10, depending on how carbonated you want it. You can just let it sit in the dark, like a nice dark, cool place. Not cold, cool. Similar to like drying your buds, like a nice 70 degrees would probably be perfect. So there's that, and rather than show you me fill up one of the small containers with the mango, I'm just gonna cut right through and show you guys how to do the first step, which is the initial getting started. Alright guys, so the initial fermentation is super easy. For every gallon you're going to make, and again, for your first round, only make 1 gallon with your SCOBY until it's bigger and stronger, and then you can start making more. I'm still only going to do about 1 gallon for the second run, and then next week I'm probably just going to shoot straight to 3 gallons. But you do, for every 1 gallon, you're going to do 10 tea bags and 1 cup of sugar. So 1 cup of sugar, 10 tea bags. I like to boil them in like a small pot. So the one cup of sugar, the 10 tea bags, small pot worth of water, and then I pour it into cold water because you're going to need this to come back down to room temperature before you pour it in with your SCOBY, because you don't want to kill off the yeast and bacteria with boiling hot water. So I just boil it in pretty much like the least amount of water I can, and then I pour it into a bowl of cold water, let it come down to room temperature, then I pour it into the SCOBY, and then that's it. You literally, once it's there, you cover it with your cloth, put a band around it, don't let any bugs in, put it in a dark corner in your kitchen or in like a cupboard or something, and just let it ferment for 1 week to 10 days. And then you're ready for the second ferment, which we already went over, where you get to play with different flavors and things like that. So I'm just going to scoop those tea bags out because I forgot to do it already. Pour it into there, and then that's it. I'll come back to show you the final product. But brewing kombucha is so easy. You can literally make gallons of it for the price that you would buy like a 20-ounce bottle at the store. So if you guys are kombucha drinkers, definitely think about taking like the 30 minutes to make your own kombucha like every week. It's literally like 30 minutes a week, because you're going to do your first ferment and your second ferment. They're all going to be taking place on the same day. As you empty this, you're going to be filling it back up with the new stuff. putting your flavors in. Then 3 days later, you can bring them out. And to stop the carbonation, so that your bottles don't explode and stuff, just take them out of the dark cupboard or closet or wherever you have them. Throw them into the fridge. The cold will stop all that, and you'll have a beautiful kombucha. And we have a smaller glass jug with a little tap on it that we put some of our kombucha in, just so we have it on tap every morning. It loses a lot of its carbonation, but it makes it so much easier. You know, running out to work, you can fill a little cup with some kombucha or something like that, and you can get creative with it. You can do some fun things. Some people don't like it straight, because it has like kind of like a vinegary taste because it is fermented. But you can do cool stuff like my girlfriend, she loves mules, making mules. So we'll make mules with kombucha, ginger brew, vodka, and lime juice rather than your traditional lime juice, vodka, and ginger brew. But getting a little off topic, so I'm going to take these tea bags out, pour in here, and come back to you guys for a little goodbye. All right. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is my next round of kombucha. So it's about 10 tea bags of black tea, 1 cup of sugar. It's going to ferment for 10 days, maybe 9. Usually I try to do stuff on Wednesdays and Mondays because those are the best for me with work, but we'll see. But yeah, this will be awesome in the next week to 10 days. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this style, I can do another one. I can do something on lacto fermenting veggies, so like making like naturally fermented dill pickles and things like that. Just let me know. I can try to plan this out instead of just winging it and making a video because I happen to be making my booch that day, and make it a little clearer and concise. So just let me know what you guys think, what you guys want. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.